to the Voiceover Roundtable. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Roundtable. Our guest tonight is an award-winning voice actor, singer, and producer. She is the vice president of the National Association of Voice Actors, NAVA. Woo! The co-chair of the Vocation Conference and the founder of Voice Actors of New York City. She's voiced thousands of projects across almost every genre of voiceover, as well as narrated and produced over 150 audiobooks. Easy. She's the narrator for many true crime series, including Final Moments and Oxygen. She has appeared in video games, including Saints Row 2022, Warframe, and Heroes Charge. She plays the game master in Voice of Card 3, Beasts of Burden.
She began her career as a singer, holds a Bachelor of Music and Vocal Arts from the USC Thornton School of Music, and a Master of Music and Vocal Arts from the Juilliard School. She's performed as a principal and soloist with New York City Opera, the Los Angeles Opera, Opera San Jose, the Santa Fe Opera, the Phoenix Symphony, Le Théâtre du Châtelet, yes, I can say that in French, and many more. She also frequently sings children's music, and in 2015 produced a children's series called Rosie's Place, which she wrote, composed, hosted, and acted as a puppeteer. Yeah.
Please welcome to the Voiceover Roundtable, the wonderfully talented and just awesome Carin Gilfry.
Hello. What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, so are we.
It's cool to have you, Carin. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. And it's been unseasonably cool here in Southern California.
Has it?
Like for the past year, since the beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
I was joking with Emma right before the show, and now this is my perfect opportunity because I was creeping your LinkedIn to like, where's Carin based? And I was like, oh, not every day we get to say Rancho Cucamonga.
Yes, Rancho Cucamonga.
It sounds like something the Wiggles would say.
It does.
Anyway, it's great to have you with us, Carin, and thanks for making time. I know you're really busy. We have so much to talk about, as we always do. We'll be opening up the stage for questions from our audience later on a little bit. But first, there's this new thing that we started just recently, and it's kind of fun, I think. I asked Emma, and she said, "Yeah,
I think it's fun."
And it's kind of a fun rapid fire warm up, and I'm just gonna throw some questions at you. They're just like 1-word answers. It's like Coke or Pepsi, but I'm not going to ask you Coke or Pepsi because
great.
No. But you'll see. It's very easy, and I think we're going to go with 5 questions. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. When doing voiceover, sit or stand?
Sit.
Condenser or shotgun microphone?
Shotgun.
Headphones on or headphones off?
On.
Yay. Part of the on squad. Oh, we're changing things up. Coffee, tea, or something else?
Oh, coffee. All the coffee. As much coffee as possible.
All the coffees. How do you take your coffee?
I have my coffee. I say all the coffee, but really I only have a cup of coffee in the morning, usually with just half and half.
Okay.
Not
last
too much.
question.
A splash.
Oh, and you're really not going to like me for this one. This is just one of those evil questions. If you had to pick just one to continue for the rest of your career, voiceover or singing?
Oh, voiceover. Hands down.
Didn't win that hard? I was like, well, this is going to...
No. Because I left singing because it was terrible.
Okay. Well, we won't dive into that. I don't want to open up the wound.
The singing part of it is wonderful and I loved it. But everything else that came along with it was just soul crushing. And
we've heard that from other guests too.
I know. I love being in my booth. I love being home with my kids. I don't have to travel unless I want to.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's a good deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. I know that I know that the work of voice acting and your many voiceover adjacent roles and projects that we mentioned in your bio probably keep you really busy, but you're also a mama to 2 beautiful youngins. How do you keep all the plates spinning?
Oh, man. Sometimes they all crash to the floor.
Okay.
And then I go into my kitchen and I pour myself a Cutwater margarita from a can. And then after about 15 minutes, everything feels a little better. And I make dinner and I get back in the booth and work.
Wonderful. Your family's doing well. Everybody's good. The kiddos are good.
Yeah, they're great. They are actually in San Diego with my mom and my sister and their two cousins right now.
Okay.
And having the time of their lives. So they're having a blast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they, if I may ask, are they like VO adjacent kids, or
they are
reverse? They are. Okay.
Yeah. So Mahalia, my oldest, she started, the first thing she ever did was she was in a hospital commercial with me as a laughing baby when she was 2. And then
started young, eh?
And then she recently did an Aveeno commercial, and we got her a SAG card from the Aveeno commercial. So now she likes to tell people all the time that she's a member of SAG-AFTRA because she thinks it's after SAG.
It's not before, it's after.
Exactly.
At the ripe age of?
She just turned 6 a few weeks ago.
Look at that. Yeah. Card-holding member at 6.
And my little one just turned 4. And she's wonderful and hilarious and adorable. They're both awesome.
That's awesome. That's a busy ages. Those are some busy ages.
Well,
I got stinky
it's not
teenagers
as busy as
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's not as busy as like 3 and 1.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. This is true. Once you move past the diapers, there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And
yes, exactly.
We can get through this.
Exactly. But teenagers is a whole other thing.
Completely.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. We won't go down that road. It's about you tonight. Oh, good. But thanks for sharing about that. It can't be easy, doing all this busy career stuff and having young'uns too. But that sounds like you're doing it up. So.
Yeah, it's hard. It's kind of hard to strike a balance sometimes. But a few years ago, when my second one was born, I decided that I was just always going to take weekends off unless it was really an emergency.
Yeah.
And so I work really, really hard Monday to Friday, like many, many hours a day. But then Saturday and Sunday, I try to keep just for them to do whatever we can do on the weekend. And then I get back in the booth on Sunday night, finish up all my auditions and go back to work Monday. Mm-hmm. And that works out pretty well. And sometimes I even take an extra Friday off to go do something special.
Look at that, eh?
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
I think if there's one of the things that many of our guests have said, and I know that it's something, ingrained in my heart, one of the reasons we like voiceover so much is the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have to work hard. Yes, sure, we have to do auditions and try and get them in quick and everything like that. But at the end of the day, we run the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I took off with my sister this weekend, like a completely impromptu with my nieces. And my youngest niece, she's 7. She's done a commercial recently. So now she's an actor. And then her older sister, who's 10, decided that she wanted to be an actor. And Ashlyn, the youngest, she's like, I was an actor first. So I don't think you can do that. And I was like, well, technically, I was an actor first. And I didn't get mad when you did it. So I don't think that you really can get mad at your sister for wanting to do it because I didn't get mad at you. She was like,
that's so
what?
Funny.
Oh, okay. I'm like, well, so we'll all do it. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
There's anti-logic for you. Not A-N-T-I, but A-U-N-T-Y.
You got to stop the fight before it starts, John. No. Bring it back around, kids. Bring it back.
That's true.
But so speaking of voiceover adjacent roles, we mentioned that you are the vice president of NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors. Thank you. And thank you some more. So I have a couple of questions about this.
Yeah, please.
Right. So I know that you and the rest of the team are super busy, but I want to know first, like the origin story of NAVA? Like, what was the catalyst? Like, was there a conversation? Like, what happened?
Yeah, so I started Voice Actors of NYC in 2017. And it turned into this beautiful, wonderful community group where we ended up kind of doing free and donation-based classes and events, and it just grew and grew and grew. And it was like we had an event almost twice a month, really. And we would go, it was like going to church with your voiceover family because you went and you were inspired and there were classes and everybody brought their own, lavender bread and hot dishes and whatever. And we shared food and we talked about voiceover, and it was amazing. And it was a real community. And then when COVID hit, we couldn't get together in that way anymore. Yeah. And people started losing their survival jobs and really started getting into dire financial straits, a lot of people. And I actually did very well in the pandemic, as a lot of us did, because there was just content that needed to be created immediately, and the only actors who could work were voice actors. Yep. So those of us who were doing well really wanted to help the people who relied on their restaurant, jobs and things, their survival jobs, who couldn't go to work anymore. And so we started an emergency fund. Now, at the exact same time, Tim Friedlander in LA had the Gardner Collective, the Voiceover Collective, and he at the same time also started an emergency fund. And between the two of us, I think we each had about $30,000 go through our personal PayPals. People would give us a donation and we would give it out to anyone, no questions asked, $100 or $200 payments if they needed it. Just tell us you need money. People donated and we gave it back out. But neither of us was set up as an official nonprofit. So Tim and I both paid taxes individually on that $30,000 each. Yeah. And at the same time, SAG-AFTRA changed their health insurance requirements. The qualifying minimum used to be around $17,000, and they bumped it up to around $24,000 in the middle of the pandemic. So a bunch of people lost their health insurance. So all of those things kind of brought Tim and I together, and we thought, what can we do to help voice actors who are really struggling? And we thought, well, first of all, we should form an official nonprofit so that we can take this emergency money and give it out to people and do it in a way that we don't have to pay taxes on. But second, would it be possible for us to get a health insurance plan for voice actors? And it took about 2 years of work to figure out whether or not it was possible, whether or not it was legal. And in the end, after yes, no, maybe, yes, definitely not, no, yes, we landed on yes. And now, you can become a member of NAVA. And if you are a member of NAVA, you have access to 4 different health insurance plans that you can have for yourself and your spouse and your dependents. And so that's great. And we also have a scholarship program. We also have an emergency fund program. And now we are right in the middle of this whole discussion about AI. So it turned into something awesome, but it really came out of things that were already around in the world, and then our necessity to not want to pay personal taxes on tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah.
So just to get clarity on one of the things that you mentioned there, this is because we kind of cross borders. Both Emma and I are based in Canada, but the question that's going to come up from people is that available to Canadians, or is that just a U.S. thing?
Anyone can join NAVA.
Right.
The health insurance plans, I believe you can purchase a health insurance plan if you want, if you are afraid that if you live in the U.S., or if you visit the U.S. or something like that, that you wouldn't have health insurance if you were here. But the health insurance is a national U.S. plan. It's not an international plan.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. I mean, we we have very different systems between our two countries differ greatly. Probably that is one of the things we differ the most on. So I just wanted to clarify that up front because I know we'll probably get the question down the line. So
but anyone can be a member of NAVA.
Yeah, and we should, because you've given us beautiful things like that rider. We'll talk about that in a second. And here comes the robot elephant in the room.
Yes.
You getting tired of talking about AI yet, or probably not?
It's funny because I've been talking about AI. I think probably since 2018, the first vocation conference that we ever had. We had Rupal Patel from Vocal ID come and talk about AI. And back in 2019, people were like, "Oh, robots don't sound like humans. This will never be a problem for us." And now here we are, 4 years later, and it's like, so. But I've been thinking about this for years. Yeah. And so to get to talk about it and to get to educate people on it and to get to kind of be at the forefront of a lot of these AI questions and problems and ways that we move forward in the community it's really wonderful, and I'm not sick of it yet.
No, I know. That was a very rhetorical, I knew the answer question. But we'll tying this to NAVA. It's definitely one of the areas that you and NAVA have been the most active, and I don't want to say the most active because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but definitely the most visible for our community in advocating for us, voice actors, and trying to help us navigate these, we'll call them strange times. So let's, I was going to say dark times, but I don't want to be so doom.
How about unprecedented times?
Oh, there it is. Unprecedented.
It's back.
Like that word has been coming up.
Unprecedented.
But let's try and we'll lighten things up and maybe get down to some of the basics for those who don't know or might be like, oh, what the heck AI, and what's the difference between an AI voice and a synthetic voice?
So this is a great question because in the voiceover world, when we say AI, we mean synthetic voice.
Yeah.
But in the rest of the tech world, if you say AI, it means advanced computing technology. It does not mean synthetic voice. So when you get, for example, there was a company called Largo.ai that started emailing a bunch of voice actors. And what they said in their email was, congratulations, we have added you to our roster. We are an AI casting company. And everyone freaked out and thought, oh my God, they're an AI. They're going to cast a synthetic version of my voice. Do they have a synthetic version of my voice? Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. What they meant was, we are a service that scours the internet for available jobs with the words voiceover. And then we bring them to you. And we say, here's an available job that says voiceover. Would you, human actor, like to audition for it or explore it further? And they were really scouring the internet using IMDb mostly, but they were using artificial intelligence to do so. So their wording in our community made everyone freak out, but that's not what they were doing. They're a company that could potentially help us using AI book more work as humans.
Yeah. But not
so it's
really.
Yeah.
But they probably didn't, did they?
Did they probably didn't what? Help anyone?
Didn't help anyone find jobs? Yeah.
I don't know. They're a startup. Startups are a dime a dozen. Who knows? Right. It could be the next, I don't know. It could be the next Spotify, and it could be the next Theranos. You just don't know.
So then, I guess we have a confused understanding of what it is. I mean, I think for most of us, we over the past number of years have had in our head, okay, like especially this TTS is text to speech, something that we hear a lot of, where an actual actor, a voice actor like me and you and Emma and everyone in the room, gives of their real voice in varying quantities. It used to be 10,000 words. It used to be all these wonky, weird sentences. The cow leans against the wall. Like, it was so weird. But now that has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And now apparently they really don't need anything at all to make a model.
Yeah.
So what are the differences? What do we need to know?
So it's really important, if possible, to learn as much as you can about all these different kinds of technologies. Mm-hmm. A synthetic voice or a voice dub or a voice clone, what they mean by that is usually a synthetic version of your voice. Right. It might also mean a synthetic version that is blended of many voices. Siri, for example, is actually a blend of many different actors. The newest version of Siri that came out in 2018 or whatever. It's not one person. It's a composite voice, they call it.
Right.
So that's what synthetic voice usually means. But there's also machine learning. There's also AI training. There's synthetic voice training that has nothing to do with creating a synthetic voice. For example, smart speakers are in all of our homes. Mm-hmm. If I say a word, then everyone's smart speaker will talk to them. But where was I going with that? Smart speakers are in everyone's home, and smart speakers need to understand us, right? So if you are a person who comes from a foreign country and you have, let's say, a very thick Italian accent or something, right, your smart speaker might not understand you very well. And so what they need is people to train the algorithm and train the AI to be able to understand people with thick Italian accents. And so they sometimes will hire voice actors with thick accents, and they speak into a microphone, and it helps to train the speech recognition. It also helps to train, figuring out if people are older or younger, what their gender might be, how close they are to a speaker, how far away they are from a speaker, all kinds of different things. And so when you're training AI, you're not necessarily creating a synthetic version of your voice. Although, if they have those files, they could maybe create a synthetic version of your voice. And so if you're ever going to work on a job like that, you need to be really careful about what the contract says and what your rights are in that contract.
Yeah. And most of us are familiar with the horror stories of what people like Bev Standing went through. Mm-hmm. You think your voice was safe, and then all of a sudden, you're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because with Bev, she did a specific job with a specific company.
Yep.
And that was as far as it was supposed to go. Yep. But then that company, maybe I don't know actually all of the intricacies, but it's possible for any of us to make a product with a company, and then that company gets purchased by another company. And what happens to your synthetic voice? Yep. Does it go along to the new owners? And then do they then have the right to sell it? It's all up in the air.
Brave new world, especially from all the legal standpoints and everything like that.
And if anyone ever needs an example of AI learning different dialects, look up Scottish people trying to speak too. It's like you wet yourself. It is like they're screaming at the speaker. It's one of the funniest things that I have seen. You can fall down that rabbit hole.
Carin, you made me think of. I married into an Italian family. Ironically, that you're mentioning thick Italian.
Oh, how funny!
And my late father-in-law, I remember we got them a new TV at one point, and it had one of these voice command remote controls where you could press a button on the remote control and tell it to channel whatever. And the poor man with his thick Italian accent was trying to say channel 32, but it wasn't, it was coming out with a thick Italian accent, and the TV was just not having it and not going where he wanted it to. He ended up throwing down the remote and getting mad at me and getting mad at the TV. It needed more training. I think it needed more training. So.
Yes, it needed more training.
Oh my.
Speaking of synthetic voices, I know that you have an avatar of your own voice.
I do.
And so how do you use it for your business, and how has it helped you?
So my synthetic voice is through Vocal ID, and Rupal Patel, who was the CEO of Vocal ID has since been purchased by Veritone, and the people who are there, we have talked together every step of the way, and I really feel like they have a good handle on what I want, and I have a good handle on what they want, and we have a contract to, reflect all of the things that we mutually want.
Cool.
But I don't actually use that voice myself. That voice is there for, like, if anyone wants to purchase my voice for, like, for example, one of the jobs that my voice does through Vocal ID is a job for a weather service. And my voice reads the weather in anywhere that you want it to, which is a job that I cannot do as a human, because I can't read to you what the weather is in every single place at the moment that it's happening. So, and then I get paid a yearly licensing fee for the use of that voice, but it is job specific. It cannot go beyond where it's being used now. And if that company were to use it beyond just the weather service readings, then they would be in breach of contract. I also have approval of every single thing that voice is hired for. So they cannot give my voice to any company without me giving my approval and signing a contract that has specific terms that limit the use of that voice. So that's that one. But I also have played around with 11 Labs, which everyone can do. It only costs $5 a month. Their terms of service seem to be favorable for now. I personally wouldn't use it too much and always check back, because a company can change their terms of service at any time. But it's very interesting. You can make a synthetic version of your voice with as little as 30 seconds of source material. And you can make many different voices. Like my husband is African American and British, and he has one synthetic voice on there that's just the voice that he uses all the time. He has one voice that has more of like an African American vernacular feel to it, and so he created that one. And then he has one where he uses a British accent, and he has those three voices and can pull out, all kinds of things anytime just by typing stuff into a text box, and it spits out exactly what he puts in any of those personas. So that's interesting.
It is.
That's the word you chose. Okay.
I think you mentioned, I was on the webinar the other day with NAVA, and you were talking about how at one point you had used it for an audition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
I know. I'm like, I know.
No. I'm happy to talk about this. 11 Labs rolled out their consumer-facing product in January, February of this year. And when that happened, I was just really interested in seeing what it was like. And it was really good. It was really good. Like, there are breaths, there are pauses, there are little human, like, weird inflections and things that just make it sound really like a real person. And I thought to myself, I wonder how this would hold up in an audition with a bunch of real people. Mm-hmm. And so I sent a message to Rolf Feldman of Voice 123 and said, hey, I'm thinking that I might audition like for a couple jobs with this synthetic voice. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, do it. I want to know what happens. And so
you were a case study.
Yeah, exactly. And so I sent 2 auditions in using the synthetic voice. I thought it sounded pretty decent, and I booked one of them.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And it was an audition that had, I think, 45 other people who had auditioned for it, and my synthetic voice. And they messaged me and said, we loved your audition. We would love to work with you. And I said, great, I'm free on Monday. And then human Carin recorded the actual job. Mm-hmm. And then actually, right around the same time, I was on a plane heading to Vocation Cancun for the conference, and I had a client say to me, "Hey, I'm so sorry. You did this 3-minute explainer video. They changed the URL. We really just need you to say the company name and the URL just at the end of the video, and it needs to be done immediately because our meeting is in 1 hour." Well, I was on a plane for 6 hours. So I had Wi-Fi on the plane. I popped it into 11 Labs. I sent them an email saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm traveling. I don't know if it's going to sound as good as it does from home," but I did not tell them that it was a synthetic voice. And they wrote back saying, "Oh, thank you so much. You're a lifesaver." Perfect. And they used it. It was in the video.
Just made the case for it, right? That just makes the case for it.
So, I mean, but then again, what if now 11 Labs takes that synthetic voice and puts it anywhere they want? Even if, they could change their terms of service tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Hugh was saying that right now, 11 Labs, their terms of service is very favorable to voiceover and quite transparent. But you're right. They could change it at any moment. So I guess it's about keeping kind of the eye on making sure that you're staying up to date as to what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, big companies change their terms of service.
Never.
Who'd have
Speaking of big companies, this is
click accept. So I'm always like
scroll. I'm always
the person who, I treat the accept the new terms of service like somebody who's like texting me who I just want to get to later because I just can't give them the attention that they deserve. And I'm
exactly.
Like, do it tomorrow. I want to give it the attention it deserves, but I don't have time right now.
So accept. Done. We're fine. I'll read you later. It's good.
Sure, it's fine. They would never try to pull the wool over our eyes. Never.
Totally fine. Speaking of big companies that want to pull the wool over our eyes, what are your thoughts on Meta's new voice box AI?
Oh my gosh.
Do you think, so two things with this. Before I saw this is too scary, we're not going to release it because now our child is the devil and he's going to take over the world part, which how much of that is hype? Mike pointed that out earlier, which I think is an interesting point. But there was also the point that like I listened to what it can do. Have you heard what it can do?
Not so much.
I was listening to one thing and it was like, so if you're sitting at your desk with an Apogee mic and you are recording a podcast and in the middle of your sentence a dog barks, but you keep talking, you can feed that into VoiceBox AI. It will take the section where the dog is barking out. Your voice is the beginning. Then they feed the synthetic voice into the dog barking section and then your voice. And they've taken it it's better than Adobe.
Yeah.
It's like the voice version of
similar though.
Stuff being erased,
Yeah,
the background of your picture.
Exactly. The background of your picture.
Yeah.
Take this guy in the waves out of the background of my beautiful family photo at the beach. Take him out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gone.
So, pause?
Yep.
What do you think? This is crazy.
I mean, it's only going to get better. And it is impossible to ignore.
Yes.
And so the best defense that we have as actors is to arm ourselves with knowledge. As much as you can possibly learn about this stuff, learn about it. And honestly, it's very interesting. So for me, I've never been like, oh man, well now I have to sit and learn about AI today. It's really interesting. And there are tons of podcasts about it. There are tons of resources. NAVA has a ton of resources for you to look at on the NAVA website, which is navavoices.org. Don't go to nava.org. It's some kind of like flag club.
So the website is pinned at the top of the page for anyone who wants to see. It's navavoices.org. There's it feels like there's a new bombshell announcement or a leap in the technology almost every week, and sometimes Emma knows I get a little bit doom and gloom sometimes. I can go into dark phases.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of watching this podcast interview with that former guy from Google, Mo, I can't remember what his last name is, but like the thumbnail is like, don't bring children into the world now or something. It was just awful. And I watched and I was like, okay, we're doomed. He's like, in 2037, we're going to be hiding from the robots.
Yep.
Did we not learn from Terminator? Like, did we not learn? But anyways, out of the doom and gloom, I want to try and offer something, maybe there's some advice that we can give or something with the whole snowballing AI landscape in mind. What advice would you give to someone who is maybe just starting to consider voiceover?
That's a very good question as well. You guys just have great questions. The industry is going to contract.
Yeah.
So voiceover will no longer be a job where you will find work as easily as you did, say, in 2012, 2014. So the advice is to get really, really good. Get a survival job so that you can pay your bills. Don't rely on voiceover income because you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if you're starting. If you're already established, we're probably going to be fine because people will always want humans to do voiceover just by virtue of, one of the things actually is that AI materials, whether it's a generated image or a voice or all kinds of things, it cannot be copyrighted.
This was a golden revelation in the last few weeks.
Oh, there's been so much debate. I love it. It's like,
It's so great. And I don't know if you know the Supreme Court decision that made it so, but it is a great story about this monkey, Naruto, who took a selfie of himself, and the owner of the camera, the photographer, was making money off of this selfie. And it was determined that because the thing that took the picture was not a human, no one has the rights to this photograph. And so the photographer it does not have the rights to this photograph. And the photograph, if you have not seen it, you should just look it up right now because it's actually a series of photographs, but it's this monkey that has just like the cheesiest grin on its face. It is hilarious and wonderful and everything that you would want a monkey selfie to be. And
oh my God, I just found them.
Did you find? Isn't it hilarious?
I did. Look at those two.
All right, now are we going to have to link it to the top?
Oh my God. Naruto the monkey. But it was determined that because Naruto was not a human.
Sorry.
It's so good, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's great. People are all Googling it now. We'll just let you find your way, folks.
Links to selfies. It's all good.
Great.
No, so because Naruto is not a human, that photo is not under copyright.
Okay.
The art has to be created by a human. And so art that is generated by AI cannot be copyrighted. So that includes vocal performances by AI. So why would a company want to use a voice that they can't copyright on their national TV commercial?
So is it like any one component that is not human makes it not human? Is it like if you have all organic ingredients and then you put something full GMO into it, it is no longer organic?
Oh, you just need to know who to pay, sweetie. That's
yeah. Yeah, it's about the money. It's about
that's a whole other thing.
But also,
no, but you know what I mean. Like, does one component?
Exactly.
So, like, if the videos are captured by a cameraman and everything is edited by humans, but they use a synthetic voice, is it like that one thing spoils the soup?
No.
Okay.
I think that the things that are created by humans are protected, and the one thing that is not protected. But again, I'm not a legal scholar.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff has not been tested in the courts. And there is no legislation right now that I know of that specifically protects our voices and our voice prints. Voice print is actually not listed as biometric data according to the federal government. It is
Or in
considered
Canada.
biometric data in Illinois, but not in other states. And but the thing about biometric data and voice print is that you can learn so much about a person by listening to a short clip of their voice. You can determine their approximate age, to a certain degree. You can determine their approximate gender to a certain degree. You can determine, how far away they are or how close they are to a microphone. You can determine what kind of accent they have, down to like very, tiny regions with very specific regional accents. There's a lot of data to be gained if you have AI software analyzing a person's voice. In some ways, more than if you just type in your name and address onto a, into a website where you.
If it's not official biometric or how can't remember how you said it, but then why are some banks and telecom and stuff like that? Oh, we verified your identification using your voice print.
Yeah, exactly.
You did
so,
what?
Yeah. So it's not federally recognized as biometric data. In other places like the EU, it is recognized as official biometric data.
Wow.
In the United States, it's not officially biometric data the same way a fingerprint is, or an iris scan, or facial recognition.
And I guess, does that boil down to the fact that those other things are physically present?
I'm not sure. But one of the things that NAVA is trying to do is support any kind of legislation that would label voice print as biometric data, because that puts our voice print into a protected category that is different from other things. And when that happens, then I think it'll have good ramifications for voice actors. Unintended good consequences.
Crossing lots of fingers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to step back into starting out in voiceover, because our audience is always quite varied, from newbie to established talent. So when we talk about starting out, or at least in the last 10 years, online casting platforms, we've talked a little bit about them. They were a viable way for new talent to get into voiceover, and a solid income stream for many seasoned talent. Are they still relevant?
For now, yeah, sure. And for people that want human voice actors, clients that want human voice actors, I think they will be still relevant. But I think the boom of online casting now has been in decline.
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs that a lot of us are seeing on there are TTS jobs.
Yeah.
And so,
why do you think that is, Carin?
Because, well, there are a few reasons. Number one, it's easy. It's easy to find a voice actor on an online casting site. Number two, there is no collectively bargained agreement for AI through SAG-AFTRA, so they can't even go that route if they wanted to. You could hire a union actor, I guess, but it would not be under a union contract. I think it's just the cheapest, quickest way to find a person to do your job.
But the one thing that I was wondering, and what got me thinking about it, was I was looking at it's crazy. I was looking at my inbox for, let's say, like the last month or month and a half. And when the whole Chat GPT explosion happened, in the weeks that followed, all of a sudden I'm getting, new feature in my email client, where it can write email messages powered by Chat GPT. And then a service that I use to get royalty-free music, AI generated playlist. Type in the kind of stuff you're looking for, and it generates a playlist using ChatGPT. So what I was wondering is it on the voice side of things? Is there an API that is now out there that many companies are getting their hands on and want to get material to feed into, or is?
I mean, I think a ton of people use 11 Labs.
Okay.
Yeah. I think 11 Labs is number one right now, but there's all kinds of new stuff coming. Like Microsoft Azure is going to be very important. They're and Google and Apple and all kinds of people are coming out with companies, not people. I mean, I guess companies are people in the United States, right? So there's a lot, but I think for right now, 11 Labs is the most prominent. Yeah.
So
most widely used.
To go back to the online casting thing, you said for now, like still viable for new talent, still viable for seasoned pros as well for now as a part of? Yeah, I would say so. I would say so, but we had in 2020 during the pandemic, every single actor who was a stage actor or who was an on-camera actor or who was some kind of actor or even who was, a teacher and wanted to be an actor, they all got into voiceover during the pandemic. Yeah. And so we had more new voice actors than ever before in 2020 and 2021. Mm-hmm. It has since kind of cooled off in 2022 and now 2023. So there are fewer people now in voiceover than there were the first 2 years of the pandemic, but we still have more voice actors than ever. And now a lot of those entry-level jobs are going to synthetic voices. Uh-huh.
So all is not lost. It's just different. Everything is
there's always change,
different,
right? Yeah, there's always going to be change. Like just about text to speech, it was like looking at VoiceBox. It says that if it got all of its data from public-facing platforms, so it got all of its data from YouTube, from any video that's not copyright, like all of this stuff. So I'm like, so that we're arguing about the rate of text to speech, like the actual the money's being offered to do it. Like, but should we just take it? Because otherwise they're just getting it for free anyway.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they are getting it. I mean, we all train AI every single day.
Absolutely.
Anytime you interact with your smart speaker, anytime you answer a question, or anytime you say like, I am not a robot, please mark all stoplights, like you're training AI to be able to detect stoplights. So it's just going to get better and better and better. The difference for us is that we make a living licensing our voice. Yeah. So if you give up that right to decide where your voice is used because a company now has your voice and can do with it whatever they want, then you're putting yourself in a very bad position because you are diluting your product, which is your voice. And you can no longer license your voice to companies that want exclusivity, like for a product or something like that for a commercial, because you don't know if you can give them that exclusivity because you gave your voice to somebody else. It's different for people who license their voice for a living.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I like.
This is so good.
I try to find hope in this whole situation, and I think back to I don't know, depending on who is in the room and how old you are. I think back to when file sharing and then like pre-streaming when it came to music. Mm-hmm. There used to be things called record stores. I worked in a few, actually. I was a former nightclub DJ for many years, and we used to go to a store on Friday afternoon and buy vinyl. And then file sharing started to happen, and then you had Napster, and then everything just cascaded, and then the whole music industry got reinvented. Mm-hmm. The music delivery concept got reinvented. Mm-hmm. But apparently vinyl made a comeback.
Yeah.
So it's just, there has to be hope somewhere. Not everybody's going to make it, I guess. But like you said, it's good to have those those backup jobs and not rely 100% possibly.
Mike says, Napster. Right?
Napster changed everything. It really did. It really did.
Well,
We're gonna take
the record companies now make more money than they ever have before. Artists don't make as much money.
No.
But the record companies using Spotify and the like earn more than they ever have.
My wife is a musician and it's hysterical. She's shown me sometimes when she gets the "you've been paid," or it shows like how much she's being paid, because she's got like 10 albums. She's played all over the world, blah, 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 blah. And it's like 0.001829 cents. And it was played like 100,000 times. I'm like, Are you kidding?
Yeah.
To be played 100,000 times in Japan, you were paid less than a cent?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That calls for a celebration. New guitars for everyone, eh, Anna?
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, man.
36 is enough for any human. You only have 2 hands.
That's before we go to questions from the room, I'm just going to throw down what we call our mid-show reminder. If you've joined us halfway or partway through the evening show, this is the Voiceover Roundtable here on Clubhouse every Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, talking about all things voiceover with a special focus on community, bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
And tonight, our special guest is Carin Gilfry. Every week I miss that because I'm scrolling through the chat looking for questions. And Mike's always like, hello. You think with me, hang on. Like,
man.
My line, sorry.
Yay, Carin.
You got it this time.
I got it, yay.
So, do we have the peoples? Are the hands being raised?
I just let people know that the hands can be raised. I haven't had a hand raised just yet. Come
up here, guys.
I know. Just come on up. Take advantage. Ooh,
turn on down.
We've got a Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Welcome aboard.
No, thank you. So,
there he is.
So before Chris, I need to know, how was your skeleton dancing to my music in the pre-show?
George's just lucky, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. Welcome to the show, Chris. You got a question for Carin?
Yes. I put it in the chat, but I'll just go ahead and ask it now.
Girl,
yeah.
Are the days of going to studios over?
Oh,
I was in studio today.
Yeah. So I think there are more people going back into studios now than before. I mean, like during pandemic times.
Yeah.
The only time that I have gone into a studio recently is when I am doing a project that's super, super secret, or a video game that's not super, super secret, because it has a huge dynamic range and it's just easier with an engineer, and they kind of want everybody to record in the same space, so they all sound like they're in the same world, and that makes sense to me. But video games are definitely in person, in part because it's so secret. Like, often you don't even know what project you've been cast for until you get to the studio, and then they're like, leave your phone outside and sign these 17 NDAs, and then you walk into the booth and you don't even get a paper script in your hand because it's so secret you can't even have a script that you might take and leave. And then they put something on the screen and they're like, congratulations, you're in Zelda. And you're like, what? Where's the new Zelda? And then you cry, and then you compose yourself, and then you do the session. It's great. But yeah, so in person, I think for animation, video games, and things that are super secret, or if someone wants to be in studio, is coming back. But I love working from home, and I hope it's never required of me to always go into a studio. I don't mind going in sometimes. That's fun. But if I had to go in every day, I wouldn't be able to do my job.
And one last question, please. What's your favorite voiceover job to do, and what's your least favorite voiceover job to do? Type of voiceover.
Oh, to do type of voiceover? I've been narrating a lot of murder shows lately, which I really love. It's weird because I feel like I have a lot of family members who are detectives and police officers, and I've always been really interested in their job. And I feel like getting to tell the stories of some of these crimes, first of all, it feels really good in some ways to be able to tell these stories of people that their story hasn't been told a lot yet. And second, it makes me feel like I'm part of the crime solving, and in some ways, I hope I'm giving people knowledge and control over their circumstances. And I think that's why women love murder shows so much, is because we feel kind of out of control in our lives sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you watch a murder show, you're like, oh, okay, now I know that if a guy on Tinder says that I should just come right to his house, it's probably not a good idea. Like now I know what to look out for. Oh, he's got a lot of... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's been really interesting. And I really like doing that, and I'd like to do more of it. And I think as I get older and my voice gets a little deeper and more dramatic, I hope that I will do more of that work. But I also love commercials. And my least favorite is, I love audiobooks in theory, but in practice, it's just such a marathon.
It really is.
And I love it when I'm in it and I'm telling a great story, but I hate the amount of work that is just like sitting on my to-do list, and I know that I have to do it, and it's just like sitting there for a month.
The late
Yeah. Oh, and the 2 shows that you can watch now, there's some shows, I see people asking in the chat. The 2 shows that I narrate that you can watch now are Final Moments on Oxygen and Sleeping with Death on Oxygen, which is a show all about people getting murdered in their sleep.
Oh.
You would think it would be like people you have a relationship with, but no. No,
Mike's not going to sleep tonight. Oh, dear.
How many melatonins do we have left?
Don't take too many.
We have enough. No, I know. My goodness. Wow, stuff to think about as you go to bed, folks. Yeah. Thanks for the questions, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Erica.
Well, hello, fellow Canucks. Are you there?
We're here. Where are you?
We're there.
I'm here. Thank you so much for the wonderful.
Can you turn your volume down to touch, or it's super hot?
See, and last week
Exactly.
I was super low, and yeah. Okay, better?
Yeah.
Better?
Little, yeah.
Okay. Hi, Erica. Okay. Hi, Carin. Carin or Carin? Because I spell my middle name like
really?
you.
I tell people that it's like car insurance.
Carin. Insurance. Okay.
Sure.
Carin Bond.
And you spell your name like my sister,
Awesome.
with a C.
Oh, look at the connection. So I love all the conversation about AI. Really invaluable information. So thank you. I'm going to take it back to your work with as a vocalist. So I don't have formal training. The last time I had any kind of formal training was when I actually sang in the PSB Jam Chorale in Montreal in my younger years. But I do sing backup quite often. And I was wondering, would you recommend that be included in my commercial demo, which I'm constantly working to
You're singing?
update?
You're asking if you're singing to be included in your commercial demo?
Yes.
I would say no, because demos for voiceover are very genre specific, but you can have a singing demo, which is a great idea, because, often I'll get asked for a singing demo, or I'll get asked to sing, for weird commercials or whatever. But jingles nowadays are not as popular as they used to be, like in the 90s.
Right.
And before. But yeah, I would say your commercial demo should be just commercials and just you as a speaker in the commercials. Unless there was one, my friend Marco Camerata, he has a commercial demo, a piece on his commercial demo where he's speaking and singing as an opera singer in the same commercial, which is very funny and works well for him because he is an opera singer. But unless it's like a gimmick in a commercial, I would say you don't need to include your singing.
Got it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for the stage
Erica.
time. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Have a good evening.
We have a comment from Deborah Costnett. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I'm reminded of an older movie, Looker, starring Susan Day. A company conspired to copy and computerize an actress's voice and looks, then use that to generate commercials, movies, etc. Their plan was to kill the actress, leave them with the sole rights for her voice and line.
Yes. There's also a fantastic movie called The Congress with Robin Wright. And Robin Wright plays herself. And she plays an actress. She plays herself as an actress. And the premise of the movie is that her son has a lot of medical bills. She's getting older. She doesn't act as often. And the studio says, we want to create a synthetic version of you, but you have to sign a contract that says you'll never act again. And she says no first. And then finally she says yes. And there's this scene of her in a bubble with cameras and lights all around her. And they make her do every single emotion that they possibly can. And they put it all into a computer program. And then her synthetic version of her computer generated version goes on and acts without her. And she got paid this one-time fee, and she's a big star, but she can never act again. It's a crazy movie. It has a great cast. Aww. And the second half of it is like animated by all of these amazing anime artists. It's a wild movie.
Wow.
Very wild.
Whoa. All right. Some weekend watching to do.
I'm just scrolling through. There wasn't a lot of questions that were popping up. I think that people were just like super paying attention to what was going on.
Nobody wants to talk to me. Come on up, guy.
Come on.
Say hi.
Come on up.
Where is she? Let me yell at her.
We have a lot of multitaskers who like to hit the G.
For sure. Yeah. Speaking of Sarah, what are you doing? Why are you not up on the stage?
Sarah. Yeah, I was getting her called out, Sarah.
She has 0 questions.
I have 0 questions. I just love. Oh, there's Sarah. That's Sarah.
That girl.
Oh,
Here I am. Oh, hey.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi. I was just trying to type that I was so excited just to listen. I have 0 questions, but I could listen to Carin talk for days. Yeah.
You're great, Sarah.
Thanks. So I will just say my 2 cents.
Please.
And that I just really, because there's, I didn't really look through the audience, but I'm sure maybe there's some people that are newer or maybe haven't experienced in, all the ways and avenues that Carin educates, but definitely check out the Vocation.
Best conference. Best business.
Yeah.
Best conference. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's not because you're on the stage. I say it to everybody all the time. When I attended eVocation during the pandemic, like, one lecture was worth the price of gold. I was like, okay, I'm back. I'm doing this. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a fun conference. And I think having the online option is great. We're doing our virtual conference again September 8 to 10 this year, and tickets are on sale if you go to vocationconference.com. But the thing that's different about Vocation is that it's only focused on the business side of voiceover.
This is why everybody needs to go to it, because it is a business, and people they forget. It's like, I can do voices. That's great, but this is a business.
Yeah. And it's basically how to live and work and operate as a freelancer in the world, but your service is voice acting.
Yep.
And we've had classes on using LinkedIn for direct marketing. We've had classes on negotiating better rates for yourself and how to work with your agents and taxes and retirement planning. And sessions with lawyers and all kinds of stuff. So it's always very valuable. I learn something every time. We have different speakers every time. And and we actually just announced the last one that we did was in person in Cancun, which was super fun. And we just announced the dates for the next Vocation Destination Conference, which will be April. I can't tell you where because we have to make the announcement, but let's just say it will be a great place. But
it's okay. It's okay. So
kind of thing.
Maybe we'll build the hype. Like when will you be announcing the the destination?
I think probably by the end of the month, because we have to, according to our contract with the resort, we have to have a certain number of rooms sold by a certain date. So we're going to open up ticket sales sooner rather than later. But it's a small conference. It's only about 100 people, so you get a lot of individual attention. We're doing the same kind of thing that we did for Cancun, which is it will be at an all-inclusive resort, which means that you just pay one price and you get all your food, all your drinks, and then an entertainment. We have networking parties every night, and then just from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 2 days, it's just instruction from the best people in voiceover teaching you about how to run your business. And remember that business travel is tax deductible.
Yes, it is.
So 2 days of event, like do people buy this as a package that's like a 4-day thing and they enjoy a little bit more? Or
so you buy, the conference, and you can share a room as well. We haven't released all of the details, but you will arrive on a Thursday, and we have a networking cocktail party reception welcome thing the first night. Then the second day is all learning from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. From 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., you get to enjoy the beautiful place where we're going to be and do activities if you want and hang out, at the resort. And then in the evening, we'll have a cocktail party. And then the next day, instruction again. And then that evening, we'll have a closing party. And then the next morning is a farewell breakfast and kind of a closing thing. And then you can go home. But if you want to stay longer, you can stay for 3 days before and 3 days after for the same price.
So are you allowed to release the date? It's April.
Yeah. It's April 25th to 28th.
Okay.
And I'm very excited about this place. If you want to be a detective, I went to this place for my 30th birthday. So if you go on my Facebook and you look up my 30th birthday trip, you might have, but my 30th birthday trip was years ago.
Let's do some fun sleuthing. Let's do some fun, not going to guess, but like something that would help people kind of have an idea. How long would the flight be from, let's say, Los Angeles?
About 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Roughly 6 hours.
It's got to be Yellowknife.
Oh, stop it. Tropical destinations.
Yeah. All-inclusive resort on the Arctic Circle, folks.
This time of year, will be nighttime.
We were thinking, we did Cancun before, so do people want something different? Like, do we want to go to a ski resort? Do we want to figure out, how to do a wellness spa kind of thing? But one of the things that we loved was the all-inclusive part of it.
Yeah.
Was such an equalizer for everyone, because you could be at dinner with this amazing manager or an incredible casting director, and you are at dinner with these people, and you can order steak, you can order lobster, you can order a bunch of drinks if you want, and then at the end of the night, it's not like, oh, who's gonna pay the bill, or oh, I guess I'll just have soup and a soda because I can't afford to have steak and lobster and a drink. it was just, you pay one fee and then everyone gets to just be there.
It is.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Love it. Cool. Well, we're really excited. That's going to be, so we'll find out hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks, towards the end of the month.
As long as not for it.
But we'll kind of save the date, April
25
end
to
of
28.
April, 25 to 28 for a vacation.
And if you want to do eVocation, the tickets are on sale now. That's our online conference. You get a swag bag in the mail. Even if you're in Canada, I'll ship it internationally. It's
Nice.
a bunch of days of learning, and we also have networking parties at night, and it's all about the business side of voiceover, and that's September 8 to 10.
I still use Joey's Excel sheet.
I know.
That thing is-
Excel sheet.
I literally have my assistant right now updating it for this year.
Yeah,
It's like
Joey's a
breaking
genius.
notes. She's a genius. That thing is like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
5-page Excel sheet. It's magic. That thing. I was like, yes, sold. It's just brilliant. Brilliant.
Well, a big thank you to our girl Sarah for bringing
Yeah,
attention
absolutely.
to
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Sarah.
that. Thank
Well, one more thing you could
Do
talk
it.
about the podcast with Jamie Muffet, because I think it's a tie. I think my favorite events right now, Carin and Jamie's, and of course, Emma and Mike's. They're the place to be.
Thank you, Sarah.
you.
Yeah, tell us about the podcast.
Tell us about the
Jamie and I have a new podcast. It's called The VO Breakfast Show.
Mhm.
And we just hang out together and talk about voiceover and tell funny stories. And on the demos episode, we played our first demos for everyone.
yep.
And they were horrible. And love it. It was great. And we talk about, we just talk about everything. We've talked about commercials. We've talked about video games. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. And it's just fun because Jamie Muffet is one of my best friends on the planet. Yeah. And also my business partner. But we just truly enjoy each other's company and just really agree on a lot of things and disagree on some things too. But it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like I just get in the studio and I get to have a conversation with one of my best friends. And I think that shows through in the podcast.
For sure.
Yeah.
How long does the podcast run, and what day of the week does it drop?
We've been doing one episode a week, although in last week, because we were getting eVocation off the ground so people could buy tickets, we didn't do an episode last week, but there will be an episode this week. And sometimes we just choose our topic like right before we start recording. And sometimes we choose the topic days in advance, and we ask people in our Facebook group for input, and then we include their questions and things like that. But it's really fun. I like it.
Cool.
I think that's when,
Everybody gonna check it.
yeah, I think that the podcasts, like the clubhouses of the podcasts that work, there's a bit of structure, but not a ton.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's the same as the commercial work. It's authentic. There's nothing like polished or announcery.
Exactly.
I love it. Did you have fun?
I had so much fun.
Yay! I'm so glad we were able to make this happen.
Yes.
So glad.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with your schedule, because it's bananas. So we really appreciate that you made the time for this, especially talking about something as important as getting educated about AI, understanding synthetic voices, understanding all of this stuff, and not panicking like we all have a tendency to do when there's something new that seems scary, but instead to learn and just keep learning about it.
Yes. Well, thank you for getting the word out about AI. And anytime you need me in the future, I will come back.
Thank you. Fantastic.
In the future, she says, I'll be back. Oh my goodness. I'm going to...
We could do a whole episode with my AI voice, and you ask me questions, and I'll type them in, and I'm the AI voice.
Oh my God.
Watch it.
Oh, that would be fun.
It would take a second.
Okay, here's the challenge, Carin. you've done the audition and booked the job. You did a pickup line with your AI voice. You got to do a direct possession.
It takes too
We need
long.
more smile. We need more smile. And frantically typing on the keyboard. More smile.
It takes too long. It's not very efficient yet, but probably someday it will be.
Yeah, exactly. Like next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carin, for being with us and for sharing of your time and your knowledge. You're welcome to come back. We're going to be taking a break soon for summertime, which will be nice. But we'll definitely try and have you back, because I'm sure in the next few months the whole the landscape's going to change, and we'll have all new things to talk about, and hopefully to some of the things you spoke to with regards to, like, the legality and the legislation and government involvement and things like that. I think things will change and will move, and so we'll have to have another conversation at some point. So thank you so much. Thanks also to our lovely audience and supporters who share the event online and participate so actively with questions and cheering us on and being such a great community for us. Thank you. Emma, next week is going to be our last show of the season before we take a little summer break.
Well, I thought I would save one of my favorites. Not that everyone is my favorite. One of my favorites for the last show. So we have the one, the only Miss Tina Morosco of Sound and Fury Casting joining us next week. So she's going to be talking about all things casting, about auditioning, about, following your own direction in the booth, not going crazy, not, reading too much into things and reading the spec.
Yeah. Not F the spec.
Exactly.
The spec is important. Yes, definitely. It's going to be a great show. We hope you'll join us next week, Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, here on Clubhouse for the Voiceover Roundtable. This is Mike and Emma saying,
Thank you.
thanks, everyone. Thanks, Carin.